First, murder and an appeal for someone to turn in a member of their family or a close friend. For one man in Birmingham 6 weeks ago, an evening stroll to the chip shop led inexorably to his death. We're looking for a killer, someone whom circumstances suggest might well kill again. Late on a Monday night, a silver Golf roared the wrong way down Moore Street, past Selfridges, towards New Street Station. Three well-built men climbed over a gate to an arcade. A second gate took them to a pedestrian area on New Street.
How's it going?
Joseph was my younger brother, 28. He was placid, caring, humble.
Probably go out a bit later, get some chips, I'm starving.
The only thing I could say is he was probably a bit naive of life and, you know, the bad things that, you know, are within the world in general.
Right, just hang on a sec, hang on. In a bit, all right? Come on, come on. Let's go.
But the gang had left it too late.
Quick, run! Open the door! Come on, open it!
Right, just keep calm, right? They've got a gun. Just keep calm. Once they've got what they want, they'll go, all right? Keep it quiet.
Come on, get it!
An astonished passerby captured what happened next.
Come on, man, let's just go! Come on, come on, let's move! Come on! Get lost! Back off! Come on, let's go! Come on. Listen, I'm gonna meet you down the bottom of the ramp, all right?
We don't know why, but one of them grabbed a Magnum-style gun and ran back to look for Joseph. He ignored another passerby, a man who saw him well enough to do an e-fit. He was late 20s to early 30s with a full face, and we know he was left-handed.
What are you hanging around for? Move it! Look, man, I don't want any trouble, mate.
We don't know what was said, but at this point, a lot of people heard what happened next.
Go! Go! Move it!
The huge bullet went through Joseph's arm, into his chest and through both lungs. He managed to walk 50 yards before he died. A police helicopter was quickly on the scene along with a patrol car, but Joseph was already dead. Well, leading the investigation is DCI Nigel Rock. I mean, Nigel, what shocks you about that case is the cold, deliberate nature of that murder. And I know Nationwide Securica are so concerned, they put up the biggest reward ever of £150,000. Your best hope tonight is to get some witnesses, isn't it?
That's right, yes. We'd ask anybody that was present and saw any of those events that have been reconstructed tonight to contact us, and obviously anybody that recognises this e-fit prepared by the witness.
Now, what about the silver Golf? What more would you know about that?
Well, we know that the Silver Golf was a model that's top of the range, actually a V6 4Motion, and that's the picture of it there. And obviously we can see the number that was being displayed on the night of Joseph's murder.
Well, we've got the registration there, CX02WOX. Is that a false plate, do you think?
Yes, it's a completely false plate that's never been issued by the DVLA. I think the interesting thing about the plate is, I believe it's professionally made. You can see a small GB emblem on that plate, and I'd ask anybody that has maybe manufactured that plate or sold that plate to contact us.
Now, the gun that was used, this isn't... Gosh, heavy, aren't they? This is not the actual gun that was used, but this is something very similar, you think?
Yes, it's very, very similar to what the witnesses describe, yes.
And what's particularly distinctive about this?
Well, I think, obviously, the shiny chrome finish is particularly distinctive, and the black plastic handle, so it makes it quite a distinctive knife, I think.
There were some people caught on CCTV in late December, around the Christmas period, that you're interested in.
Yes, these are the two men that CCTV, very close to the Nationwide, captured. They were clearly acting in a suspicious manner. They appeared to be looking at the building society in the immediate area. It may well be they were there completely innocently, and if that's the case, I'd ask them to contact us so we can eliminate them. But of course, they may well be involved, and somebody may recognise them.
OK, well, Nigel, thanks very much. I mean, remember, Joseph, think about who the next innocent victim might be, and if that doesn't prompt you to name names, think about that reward. It's 150 grand. Our studio number's almost always on the screen, and here's the local number, 0121 200 2552.
Still to come.
I was really frightened.
The 97-year-old whose haunting account of an attack lives on after she died from it. The woman forced at gunpoint to steal from herself.
Don't lie to me, of course you know. What's the number?
And who removed the removal van and stole someone's lifetime possessions?
Now a Bonnie and Clyde in northwest London, but not a romantic couple at all. A man and a woman with a terrifying way to try to make money.
I left my house around 8 o'clock. I was going to go and meet some friends to stay over. So I had a rucksack and a bag. And as I was walking up the road, I looked on the left and there was a guy and a girl walking towards me. And they looked quite shifty, so I started to speed up.
Shut up! Just shut up! Give me what's in the bag!
What's the PIN number?
I don't know. It's a new card. I only just got it.
Don't lie to me, of course you know. What's the number?
Rose, I don't know. I haven't memorised it yet.
I don't believe you. Tell me.
I can't.
I'm getting so angry, Dominic. I'm going to knock someone out.
Look, if you don't tell her the number, I'm going to shoot you!
Please don't hurt me. I don't know the number.
Are you mad? Can you not see the man's got a gun to your head? Do you want to die?
Look, I don't know the number, but I'll get you some cash back.
I offered to get them cash back because I just wanted the quickest way to get rid of them.
What do you reckon?
All right, we'll get cash back.
Link arms with him.
I thought they'd just go for themselves and do it, but no, instead they wanted me to go with them to just ensure they'll be able to get the cash back.
You don't shut up, I'll hurt your friends.
Yeah, we know where your mother lives. And if you don't shut up, we'll shoot her too.
At that stage, I was totally petrified.
At the end of Exeter Road, they reached the Kilburn High Road and went to Cost Cutters to try and get some money.
Do you do cash back?
No, we don't. Swartfields do though.
Where's Summerfields?
Turn left, and it's just around the corner.
Thanks.
After they left the shop, they had to ask for directions again, even though Summerfields is less than 50 yards away.
40 P&H and cash back.
40 Benton and Hedges and £50 cash back, please. Any petrol? No. Can you initial the cash back for me, please?
I thought, OK, if you just act up this bit and just act normal and don't let them see anything, just act along with them, they'll probably let you go more easily.
How much did you get?
50 quid.
50 quid? Is that all? That's not enough, we need 200!
Don't worry about it, we'll get some more from another shop.
Oh! Give me that phone. Oi, bruv! Can I buy a phone?
They bumped into two guys, and I got the impression that they knew the people I was with. because they started talking to each other in a very friendly way. They were asking the men where we should go to get cash back and to get money out, and the men kept telling them, you know, Neasden, Cricklewood, this kind of areas.
Let's go to Neasden.
I'm not going to Neasden.
We'll get back in there and get some more cash back then.
Come on.
Hello. 20.
So they went back into Summerfields and tried a different till. But this time they were only able to get £20. Now they crossed over Kilburn High Road and tried the off-licence on the corner of Loveridge Road.
Can I get 40 B&H and £50 cash back?
Oh, sorry, we don't do cash back on just fags.
What? Why not?
Because you won't let me.
Look, man, I want my cash back and I want it now.
Anyway,
Come on.
you have to spend over 10 quid to get cash back.
Do you want to get a bottle of Baileys or something?
Yeah.
Will that be all right? Can we get cash back on that?
Look, I'm not doing cash back.
What do you mean you won't do cash back?
Come on, sir.
Just leave it.
At that point, they were going mental again because they'd only managed to get £70, £80, and they wanted a minimum of 200. And they started threatening me about staying overnight with them.
They manoeuvred her down Kilburn High Road and went into Safeways, where they bought cigarettes. Then on to Sainsbury's. But because she'd already got money at Summerfield, here her card was declined. So they went out and further down the road towards the Marriott Hotel. For some time, they'd been discussing trying to book a room.
Let's try this place. You wait here with her, give me the card.
It was an odd decision because they must know smart hotels have closed-circuit cameras. When the card was declined again, the blonde did something even odder.
Give me your jacket in case you tell the police what you was wearing. I'm not going to change in public. Fair enough. We'll find somewhere then.
They found the Prince of Wales pub next to Kilburn Park Underground station. The man stayed outside while the blonde led the victim into the ladies' toilet and tried on her clothes.
Come on, take it off then. What do you think this is?
She took my denim jacket and she wore my sunglasses on her head. The rest I basically talked her out of taking because obviously I couldn't even fit into her clothes. Where they took me next was Kilburn Park Station. She got me a ticket and they all got tickets and they came downstairs with me and put me on the platform.
I mean it. Remember, don't say anything, I mean it.
I mean it. Look at me properly. Look at me. Get on that train now and just shut up. What happened today never happened. Just forget it and get on the train.
Nothing. Remember, I know where you live. Don't tell anyone, remember?
When I got on the train, I just waited until the train went into the tunnel and ran up to a guy to ask for help. I had to move house because of it. Before I used to live on my own. Now that's not even an option, which is, you know, that's my life. I should be able to do what I want, and I can't do it because I'm too scared of it.
There's Detective Chief Inspector Dave Hills, and I've never seen anything like that before, but you think this isn't a one-off, this happened before?
Yes, I do. In the red jacket pocket that was worn by the female kidnapper and swapped with Anahita in the toilets of the public house, we found some cards which were stolen from a robbery in Wolverhampton 2 days earlier on the 21st. Also in the pockets of the cardigan we found a hotel receipt for a hotel in Wolverhampton dated the 21st and also a Wolverhampton to London rail ticket which was a return.
So she gave Anahita her own jacket with all these things inside it? I mean, she's not a very professional, very coherent criminal,
No, a little careless.
And in Wolverhampton, have you traced the victim there?
We have spoken to the victim who gave a very similar description, particularly of the girl in the blonde wig, and also, interestingly, said they had local Midlands accents.
So, Midlands accents, so they're probably from Wolverhampton rather than from London. They obviously have a little knowledge of London and obviously context there. Now, there were various things that she said in particular in this attack in Kilburn. I don't know if anything was said in Wolverhampton. I remember she used the word Dominic for him. We don't know if that's his real name. She said
the name Dominic. We don't know if it's a real name, a false name or a street name, but perhaps more interestingly in the public house, in the toilets, Anahita engaged the suspect in a conversation, and during that conversation she mentioned the fact that she was from Portugal, originally born in Portugal, and that she was pregnant, but it was not yet showing. So if that were true, bearing in mind this is now 6 months ago, she could be 7 or 8 months pregnant.
A lot of viewers will say, why on earth, when Anahita was in the pub, when she was in the shops, why didn't she seek refuge in the very public areas she was? Why didn't she say, help me?
Anahita was terrified. She'd already had a gun pointed to her head. These people rob for a living. She didn't know if it was imitation or not. She didn't know if she was going to get shot or, for that matter, any other member of the public. She did the right thing.
This couple has got to be found. They're obviously doing this time and time again. There may be people around the country who've been victims of them, maybe police officers in other domains who know about this. Our studio number's on the screen. More of DCI Hill's colleagues are at the incident room. That's on 0208 733 3159. And if you've been the victim of a crime, any sort of crime, the victim support line is on 0845 30 30 900. Let's now catch up with some cases you may remember and where there's been progress independently of Crimewatch.
First, a reconstruction from last October. In Belfast, way back in 1973, something had been spotted in the River Lagan.
It's a body. Go get the police.
It was a child who'd been reported as missing from home, 10-year-old Brian McDermott. Last week, 30 years after the murder investigation opened, a man was arrested in England and taken to Northern Ireland for questioning. A report is being sent to lawyers to see if there's enough evidence for a prosecution.
You may remember the violent bag snatch in Dulwich in South London. We showed this last November. The robbers drove off over their victim's arm. Police have now made one arrest.
In January, we appealed for help to identify a body found at the bottom of Beachy Head. Sussex police have now named the victim as Orville Donovan Gordon, originally from Jamaica. A man from South London has been arrested, and police are now seeking others in connection with this murder case.
And a case we reconstructed in London 2 years ago about a minicab driver who sexually assaulted a passenger. A man has been charged and is being held in custody.
This is a picture that was splashed across national newspapers at the end of last November. It's of 97-year-old Evelyn Jackson, who was attacked and robbed in her home. She later died from her injuries, but not before leaving a harrowing account of her ordeal. You might find some of the images upsetting. This is Bickerdike Court at Longsight in South Manchester. It's surrounded by housing with young families and several elderly residents, like Evelyn Jackson. Evelyn had lived here for almost 40 years. Glyn Silcox leading the inquiry into her death.
The offenders walked here towards the front door. There's a communal entry system with a buzzer, and the offender has buzz number 4, which is Evelyn's flat.
Evelyn to herself was enjoyable, lovely lady. A lot of people had time for her. She used to come out with us in the pubs. It was hello, Mrs. Jackson. She'd say, hello, cock. People in bingo. Hello, Miss Jackson. She didn't even like playing bingo. She couldn't see it. But she just had to come because it was nice to get out for her.
This is Evelyn in 1910, aged 3 or 4. She worked in a mill as a teenager and lost her arm in an accident there. She survived that, 2 world wars, cancer, TB and a heart attack to be a great-grandmother.
As the attacker comes up to the first floor here, this is Evelyn's flat in the corner. Evelyn begins to open the door. Now, this isn't the original door, it's a security door that we've had put on because the original door's gone for forensic examination. But as Evelyn begins to open the door, which actually faces inwards, the attacker's pushed the door against Evelyn's face and then he's thumped her. She's fallen to the floor here and broken her hip as she's been going down. But despite being incapacitated on the floor, in Evelyn's own words, he used her like a football and he's repeatedly kicked her and thumped her while she's been laying on the floor in great pain.
She had a big lump hanging out of her head. It was bad, like somebody did her really, on the head with something, some force. Her eyes was black. Whoever punched her broke her jaw and she had a false teeth in that snapped in her mouth.
It's normally quite a nice, tidy room, and what you can see here is fingerprint dust that the police have used. He doesn't appear to have searched the room at all, and he's gone straight to Evelyn's handbag, which is on the couch here. He's snatched the money out of it, and then he's moved away, straight away, back down the hallway. Evelyn is still here in agony on the floor. Quite callously, he steps over her and then walks out the door.
Evelyn's words to me was, whoever done it killed me.
Tell your name to that camera there. Just give us your name.
Evelyn Jackson.
That's right.
Operating the camera.
And I'm 97 years old.
After he pushed you over, what happened then? What did he do?
I was on the floor, and I could see him kicking into me. That is when he must have broke my hip or something.
Right.
And I was screaming on the floor, and I thought I could see a white bumper keep coming up, and it just did this with his foot. I know he smacked me in the face, and down I went.
What was taken from your bag exactly?
My purse.
Your purse, yeah.
All my money.
Yeah, all right. What was the money in, Evelyn?
It was in an envelope.
Okay, what colour was that?
It was in 2 envelopes.
Right, right.
£20 in one.
Yeah.
And £5 in the other.
Right. And the
Now,
envelopes,
the
what
week before that, I paid my telephone bill, and it was £101.
Right.
Well, 6 days after making that recording, Evelyn Jackson died as a result of her injuries. With me now is DCI Glyn Silcock. Glyn, when you see her there in the hospital bed and her injuries, it just is heartbreaking, isn't it? And she's so strong and clear despite all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible, terrible murder, and it's one that we're desperate to solve. The level of violence that was used against Evelyn is absolutely horrendous.
Well, it's not as if she could fight back, is it?
There was no need for it. The reality is that she was a frail old lady with one arm, and the offender could have walked past her. She could have offered no resistance whatsoever, and what he's done is outrageous.
And what do you know about the offender?
Well, we're fortunate enough to be able to speak to Evelyn, and she's given us some information. She tells us that he's in his late teens or early 20s. She said he's not black, not white, so we're assuming mixed race. And very importantly, she says that she's seen him in the area on a number of occasions
so
before.
This long site emergency.
In the long site area, and she believes that at some stage he's been up to a flat previously, but she certainly associates him with the immediate area in which she lives.
Now, I guess your best bet tonight is for someone watching you at home to be so appalled by how this could be done to a 97-year-old lady that they'll shot the person who did it.
Well, we're hoping someone's going to give us the information that will lead to the right person. We want someone to shot someone. It's an absolutely outrageous attack, and someone out there knows who's done it.
And there's a reward as well, £12,000.
There is a £12,000 reward.
Well, who could do something like this? If you think you know, or know anyone who might help with the inquiry, call us on free call 0500 600 600 or the instant room on 0161 872 8176.
Next, hate mail and abusive phone calls. Now, if it's ever happened to you, well, they're usually upsetting rather than dangerous. But in this case, they've turned into threats against someone's life. That someone is Danielle Francis, and leading the inquiry into her case is DC Mike Strangeway. Danielle, tell us what happened. It's all two weeks ago.
Well, basically, it'd be about 2-3 weeks ago now. I had gone home early anyway. I was really tired. It's unusual because I stay out quite late, but I was tired that night, so I'd gone to bed early. Early hours, late Thursday, early hours of Friday morning, my mobile phone started ringing. I was obviously still half asleep, but I picked it up anyway, answered it, and this guy started hurling abuse down the phone. I just didn't think nothing of it and just switched it off, chucked it on the floor. About an hour later, about 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock in the morning now, it's been to Friday morning?
Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning. Horrendous banging on the door. I now know my dad had gone down just before I got up to get it, and it was the next door neighbour shouting tremendously, saying our car's on fire, banging. Dad must have gone round and looked at it, thought, God, what's going on? He come back in. I was at the top of the stairs by then. I said, well, how can a brand new car, Signum car, just blow up on its own? He just turned to the side. I looked, and in the door, in the envelope, the letterbox, I could see a bit of paper hanging out. I ran down, picked it up, looked at it. I was like, Dad, it's a death threat. And it was obviously towards me because it was saying I've waited for you nearly to come back nearly a year now. So
and you've been away from your parents' home for about
exactly.
a year. This is in Gosport, Hampshire.
Yeah, that's
very
it.
close to Gosport.
We then called the fire grade to come put it out, and they come in. Obviously, would give us statements then.
Now you're quite concerned about this, Mike, because this letter, the original, I should say, is undergoing forensic tests at the moment. The original had lined paper. This really is threatening to set fire to you and your family after this. I mean, it's absolutely horrible. How can members of the public help?
Well, what I would ask, the appeal is based on, is anybody that can recognise any of the handwriting within the note or any of the actual language used within the note, and if it means something to somebody, for that person obviously to ring us tonight.
He or she doesn't seem to have disguised the writing. There's very interesting things as well here. Comes up twice. Where it says as well, it's normally, of course, 2 words, but this writer puts them as one consistently. The E, look at the E in as well. I mean, I know a lot of people do this, but it's a C with a line put through it. And interestingly, the Ys, there's a Y here, lots of Ys in this, but they tend to be almost like a T sometimes, and it goes across and then round and then straight down. Perhaps a teacher has recognised that, or
well, anybody, to be perfectly honest. I mean, Nick, I'm completely open-minded as to who might have done this, either man or woman. It could be anybody. So if that means anything to anybody, any of that handwriting, just to ring the studio for us.
You've brought to the studio a petrol can. It says unleaded petrol in somebody's handwriting on there, and it also says here Tanya. And I notice it's got this here as well. Again, that's for forensic science reasons, that seal on the top. Tanya. What do you make of this? This was found by the burned out car?
That was found about 100 yards away, literally as somebody would have been walking away from the car, just placed on somebody's garden. It's not been identified as belonging to anybody local as far as we can tell, so I certainly believe it was either taken there by the person that set the fire. So hopefully anybody that can identify that petrol can, that is a significant lead for me, and hopefully may lead to a suspect in this case.
Well, if you know whose can this is, or was, if you can recognise anything about that letter, particularly in the Gosport area of Hampshire, or if you've got any idea who's got a real crazy grudge like this, please put a stop to us. Call us here, or call the Incident Room in Hampshire on 02392 891 780. Now here's DC Jackie Hames.
Now, robbery and violence caught on camera. Can you help us bring those responsible to court? First, a serious assault on the N279 bus from Victoria to Tottenham Swan in London. In the early hours of Saturday the 6th of March, a man and woman got on the bus. After a lengthy disagreement with a fellow passenger regarding the opening of a window, the man made an unprovoked, vicious attack. The victim sustained a fractured skull and a broken jaw. The man and woman then got off the bus at Euston Road and appear to have walked towards King's Cross. Do you recognise this couple? The woman had piercings in her tongue and left eyebrow. We're also keen to speak to two possible witnesses who sat behind the victim. Can you identify these two men? They were involved in a robbery at the Alliance and Leicester in Hemel Hempstead. They jump over the counter to raid the tills and escape with thousands of pounds in cash. The smaller of the two men has also carried out a similar robbery at a branch of the Bristol and West Building Society in Oxford. Who is he and who is his accomplice? This footage was taken from outside a club in Romford in May last year when a fight broke out. Detectives have already charged and convicted some people in connection with the disturbance, but they would like to speak to these two men. Here they are queuing up to get into the club earlier that evening. Do you know them? Finally, a street robbery in central London in the early hours of the morning. Two men approach a man and demand cash from him. After searching his pockets, they eventually steal a mobile phone. Can you identify this man?
Moving house can be stressful at the best of times, but imagine losing everything you own in the process. Well, that's just what happened in our next case. Lead the inquiry is DC Eddie Long, and this is Mary Cunningham. Well, Mary, you're the person who lost everything. Tell me what happened.
I was moving from Suffolk to East Sussex, and I had to go into rented accommodation, so I put everything I had into storage with John Wilson. And then on February the 26th, I had a phone call in the morning from Mr. Leggett, and he said, are you sitting down? And I said, no. He said, you better sit down. And he told me that the lorry with all my stuff in it had been stolen.
Everything?
Everything, everything.
Because they loaded it into the lorry the night before,
Correct.
ready to go off and move you in the next morning.
That's correct.
And someone in the meantime had taken the lorry?
That's right.
What was your reaction to that?
I was devastated. I was really upset.
I mean, it's not only your possessions we're talking about, silver, furniture, clothes, everything, but also some photographs that are far more valuable to you.
Oh, definitely, definitely. It's your life.
We've got some photographs of your late husband here that your son still has, but you have none left now.
No, nothing at all, nothing.
And what would it mean to you to get them back?
Everything. My life back again.
I mean, obviously, they're no use to anybody else, are
No.
they? So, I mean, if someone was to call in to see photographs like that of your husband, as you say, there's a whole lot of them.
Yes.
I suppose even if they return them anonymously, you don't mind, you just want to get them back.
Correct, yes, I appreciate it.
Well, let's see what we can do. I mean, the van is the only one of this size belonging to John Wilson in Newgate, Beccles. So did you see it on the evening of the 25th of February or the early hours of the 26th? I mean, Eddie, what do you think actually happened to this van? How much are you able to tell me about that?
Well, what we can say, Fiona, is at 5 o'clock this vehicle was left secure outside the premises, ready to go early the next morning. We can say that the next morning staff arrived at Dewson's in Weston-super-Mare and they saw this vehicle in their car park. We know during that time that vehicle has been unloaded and it's empty.
So I suppose the key thing is, at some point between when it was left on the 25th of February and when it was found early on the morning of the 26th of February, it was driven, presumably through the hours of the night, can only be through the hours of the night, to Weston-super-Mare and unloaded somewhere, either en route or possibly in Weston-super-Mare. We just don't know.
Exactly, and this is all during the hours of darkness.
OK, well, if you have any information on the people who stole this van or to the whereabouts of Mary's possessions, particularly those photographs, please call us on the usual number or ring the Instant Room in Beccles on 01986 835 279. And now let's see how we're getting on so far tonight. Here's Chief Superintendent Jeremy Payne.
Now, I need to just give you the number of the incident room in Manchester dealing with the murder of 97-year-old Evelyn Jackson. It's 0161 872 8178. I'll repeat, 0161 872 8178. Now, I've been scanning the desks for calls on the kidnap ordeal of the young student at Kilburn. We've had quite a lot of calls of that, and we've had 5 names put forward, a lot of them recognising the person wearing that distinctive blonde wig, if you recall, and we've had several victims who suggest that they've had a similar experience, so there's lots of names for the officers to follow up. Thank you for that.
Well, whenever I've been working on cases that are featured on Crimewatch, the best bit is sitting in the incident room the following morning with a large mug of coffee, going through all these calls. And there really is some interesting calls for the Birmingham officers involved in the murder of Joseph and Waboko. And a lot about the silver car and the Golf on the force plates, and some on the photo fit. What I'm sure they'd be really excited to see is if you can put those two together, the photo fit and that car, and I'm sure they'll have plenty to get excited about tomorrow morning. The studio number is on the screen if you've got anything else to add. And if you're watching on digital satellite TV, you can email us directly through your remote control. Just press the red button on your handset and choose Crimewatch.
Still to come, the murder of Craig Eaton in Liverpool. Did his killer shoot the wrong man?
Someone's hiding something, and if anyone's got any bit of conscience about them, they'd come forward.
Help me! The woman whose screams saved her from being raped.
And have we got clues for you? Help us solve 3 rather different crimes. But now a result, the outcome, in fact, of one of the biggest police inquiries ever. Attacks on girls and women from the age of 10 to over 50. We now know the culprit. He was dubbed the M25 rapist. Of course, his name, as we now know, is Anthony Imiela. He's in prison, thanks in part to a Crimewatch viewer.
The public interest was huge. This man was striking fear into the community.
100 police from forces across southern England are searching for a serial rapist.
Renewed police activity on the scene of yet another attack in a series that is causing increasing concern.
The investigation was massive, involving a number of forces. In fact, it's unprecedented for that many to work together. We had Kent, Surrey, Hertfordshire, the Metropolitan Police, Thames Valley and West Midlands under the chair of Dennis O'Connor, the Chief Constable of Surrey. In this particular case, we had to be very, very careful with our timing in coming to Crimewatch because we knew we were going to get a massive response.
Tonight on Crimewatch, the latest clues on one of the country's most prolific serial rapists.
Well, out of the thousands of telephone calls, one person decided to telephone the name of Imiala into the incident room. A detective inspector looked at the background of Imiala and decided that he was a priority to be swabbed.
3,500 males had been swabbed for DNA from the southeast of England. Now came Anthony Imiela. But before his profile could be checked, he was on the road again, this time looking for a victim far away from his usual haunts and with a new approach.
The attack on the young girl in West Midlands was totally different to anything that had taken place before. For the first time, Imiala openly used a vehicle. He pulled up alongside this girl on a local authority housing estate and asked if she wanted to have a lift home. She declined. He then produced a knife and said, "Get in or I'll kill you." We knew that he was working in Southampton, and we knew from having spoken to him when we swabbed him that he did travel home daily. So the only decision I had to take then was to either arrest him on the motorway or let him get to his home address. I thought the safer decision was to take him in a really controlled environment.
3 weeks ago at Maidstone Crown Court, Anthony Imiela was given 7 life sentences and told he'd be in prison for a minimum of 20 years.
All the time that this man was out and about, there was a likelihood that we were going to get women and young children attacked, and it was huge relief to get him into custody.
On the 1st of July 2002, 6th of August 2002, September 2002, he raped a girl under 16 years. Raped a woman. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention now something which you later...
Crimewatch was vital to our investigation, obviously, and there was a direct link from the Crimewatch programme into the naming of our offender.
Anthony Imiela, whose name was put into the inquiry by a Crimewatch viewer. Now some cases where detectives already have the names. Here's Chief Superintendent Jeremy Payne.
So 4 faces now people were looking for. We don't know where they are, but maybe you do. Jovita Bagdonate is wanted for trafficking women for prostitution. She's originally from Lithuania and sometimes goes by her married name, Jovita Jones. She regularly changes her appearance by dyeing her hair blonde or red, and detectives believe she's living in North London or Walthamstow in East London. And Dwayne Paul is charged with supplying crack cocaine and heroin. He was due to appear at Mould Crown Court in North Wales in January, but he didn't turn up. He's 42, has a Merseyside accent and looks a bit like the actor Dustin Hoffman. It's likely he's in Liverpool or Scotland. And the Metropolitan Police want to talk to Greg Coleman about an attack outside Bromley South train station a year ago. The victim sustained serious injuries, including a fractured skull. Greg Coleman is 25, 6 foot tall, and is a regular at pubs, bars and clubs in Bromley town centre. But where is he tonight? And Delroy Edwards is wanted for a serious assault on a 2-year-old last December in which the child suffered severe burns. Delroy Edwards comes from Nottingham and sometimes goes by the name Dion Williams. He's 5'8", 24, and he may have a small moustache. And finally, not a face, but a suitcase. Detectives investigating a murder in southwest London need your help to find outlets for a suitcase like this. It has a Ranger logo and a red button on the extendable handle. If you've bought a suitcase which fits this exact description, either here in the UK or abroad, please call and let us know where. And I must stress that we're only interested in Ranger suitcases, not any other make. If you can help, please call us 0500 600 600.
Fighting back, the woman and passer-by who foiled a rape. It happened 2 months ago in a road in London just off Camden High Street, and if you were anywhere nearby, you'd have heard the screams.
We came out of the Jazz Cafe, just generally celebrating a friend's birthday, as you do.
Come on, make a little line. Big cheese. Now smile for the camera. Mate, can you just step aside?
It's all right, brother.
No, seriously, it's a private party.
Come on, grab with the sexy lady.
No, it's a private party. Can you just go? Geezer, hey!
You know, he was asked to leave twice and he wouldn't leave.
Hey, listen, I'm not your brother yet, and it's not all right. I'm talking
I had to raise my voice at him. We had to get a bit forceful.
Piss off.
I just thought he was on a bit of a high. He was just looking for an extended night out, basically.
Me and a few of my friends, we all decided to go to the Electric Ballroom. We was having a good time and I got a bit fed up and I just decided I'd had enough.
You don't mind?
They wasn't ready to go.
Yeah, you be careful. Yeah. Well, listen, you give us a shout if you don't get a camera.
So I just headed out the door on my own. I walked to the cab office and there wasn't any cabs available, and I'd never walked anywhere on my own before, so I decided to go back to Ballroom to get someone. And as I was walking back, I started to text one of my friends to let her know that I'm coming back and would they come home with me.
All right, sister. Sister, we let go to hurt you. It's okay.
When I asked him to leave, he turned around and said, "I'm not going to hurt you." And as soon as he said that, I knew something was wrong.
I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to talk to you. I want to talk to you.
What are you doing? What do you want?
Cam, I'm not going to hurt you.
And at that point, I just thought, this is it. He's going to rape me. He's going to kill me. I just thought, well, that's it. You know, it's over. And no one came. I tried and get him off me myself. I managed to get my head around the corner to scream.
Help me! Get me! What are you doing? Get off me! Get off my girlfriend, okay?
He's not my boyfriend! He's trying to rape me!
Listen, get off! What? Come on, then, mate. Come on, then. Yeah? You leave her alone, yeah?
You could hear the noise down the road. There was a few fists flying. I saw it was a black guy on his own and these two white guys. And I recognised it was the same man outside the jazz cafe.
He was attacking that girl.
If I knew at the time what he'd actually done, I would never have allowed him to get away.
To know that he's still out there and he can attack again is the most scariest feeling ever. Some girl won't be as lucky as I am. She might not get help the next time.
This is the picture that was taken of the would-be rapist when he gate crashed the birthday photo in Camden Parkway. You see, we've blurred out the faces of the people in the foreground, and sadly, he's outside the range of the flash. Even so, the E-fit we've got is thought to be very reliable. He's 5'8" or thereabouts. He's fairly stocky. Note the missing tooth, and I can tell you he's got an African accent. Any suspicions, please, give us a call before he does it again. He might be local to Camden in North London, possibly he might have travelled in. Quite a few people go there for the nightlife from South London. The number is on the screen, or contact the incident room on 020 8733 6482.
It's 9:45. We've got a lot of calls coming in. Keep them coming. And in Liverpool, just over a month ago, a hospital care assistant, Craig Eaton, was shot and killed. His murder has mystified his family and baffled detectives who can find no motive. Craig was, quite simply, a popular and caring young man.
Craig was my son. He was 22 years of age, and he worked in Alder Hey Hospital as a healthcare assistant. Worked there for over 12 months, so looking after the sick children. Looking after the young boy Michael, and unfortunately Michael died on the Sunday, which he was upset about. And the reason he was out that particular night on the Tuesday when he was murdered was he was trying to get over the death of Michael.
Craig came out of Mallow Road, turned right onto Molyneux Road and walked towards Farnworth Street. The offender came from behind him, alongside him, and at point-blank range shot him twice in the side.
Witnesses who were sitting in a car some 50 yards towards Farnborough Street saw the flashes and heard the sound of the gunshots. They saw Craig fall to the floor. They drove immediately to the scene and, seeing Craig on the ground, chased after the attacker, who turned into Mallow Road.
As they turned into Mallow Road, the offender had completely disappeared.
BBC News at 11 o'clock. This is Lee Benyon. Police in Liverpool say a man shot dead in the street may have been the victim of mistaken identity.
We know someone out there knows something what's happened. Someone's hiding something. And if anyone's got any bit of conscience about them, they'd come forward and let the police know what really happened that night.
Here's Detective Superintendent Russ Walsh. Russ, it's so baffling, the fact that Craig was targeted. I mean, one wonders if it was a case of mistaken identity.
Yes, we believe it was. We've made extensive inquiries into Craig's background and lifestyle, and there is absolutely nothing that would suggest that this type of vicious attack should happen to him. Nothing whatsoever.
As far as the murder is concerned, we know he was white, male, about 5'6", stocky, broad shoulders, and wearing a blue Lacoste tracksuit, wasn't he? He ran off. Then there was a car that went past. What do you know about that?
Yes, witnesses who were immediately on the scene say that a white Renault, possibly a Laguna or a Megane, pulled up at the scene with 3 men on board. They got out, looked at Craig, got back in the car and then drove off down Esher Road. Now, we're not saying that these people were in any way, shape or form involved in the murder. However, they were there quickly and we would like to know if they saw anything that would assist us in our inquiries.
Now, if this was a case of mistaken identity, you can't be sure, obviously, but you've got strong suspicions it may have been. That means that the killer's still out there and the intended target is still out there too.
That's right. If there is somebody out there who feels that they are or were the intended target, then I would suggest that they contact us as quickly as possible, because they have to bear in mind that the offender is still out there, probably still armed, and as we've seen with the murder of Craig Eaton, he's quite prepared to use the firearm and kill people. So that person could be in danger.
And what if that person was involved in some kind of dodgy dealings? Are you interested in that?
No, we're not interested in that. Our sole interest is in detecting the murder of Craig Eaton to find out who is responsible and what the reason is for this person to die unnecessarily.
OK, Ross, well, if you can help, call the studio or the incident room in Liverpool on 0151 777 8614. And now here's Jackie and Jeremy.
Bank fraud costs the economy an estimated £485 million a year, and you and I pick up the bill in higher bank charges and insurance premiums. We have 2 cases to show you now. The first is to alert you so that you don't fall prey to this easy trick.
This is the TSB in Warrington. A customer is filling out a deposit slip. He makes a mistake and throws it into the wastepaper bin as he goes to collect a new one. 2 hours later, another man enters the bank and rummages through the bin, taking out the partly completed slip left by the earlier customer. He then uses the name and account details to withdraw £3,800. Do you know who he is?
Call us now if you can help, and please don't make it easy for the fraudsters. Please make sure you destroy anything which has your account details on it.
Our next case is from the NatWest Bank in Humberside. This man, posing as an ordinary bank customer, uses a fraudulent passport as ID to order duplicate bank cards. He then withdraws large amounts of cash, fleecing one customer of over £50,000. Described as being in his early 40s, quite slim, with dark grey swept-back hair and about 5 foot 10 inches tall. Tell us where he is tonight. Now, this offence may be linked to 12 others, mainly around London and the home counties. In order to carry out these frauds, the offender had to have access to personal information, which has allowed him to pass security checks. So please do be very careful with your personal information. Tell us who our fraudsters are. 0500 600 600 if you can help with either of these cases.
Next, some physical clues which could prove the turning point in 3 very different crimes. And the first, this pair, look as though they're straight out of a game of Cluedo. They're bronze and alabaster candlesticks. Recognise them? They were recovered last June following a police raid. And if you put them together, they're valued at several £1,000s. But who owns them? Or were you offered them for sale? If so, give us a call, 0500 600 600.
These sculptures are made of something called fibre bronze. They're big and they're pretty heavy, so you wouldn't think they were terribly easy to steal. But that's what's happened to 10 of them in Hindhead in Surrey. They were created by renowned sculptors Edwin and Lorne Russell. Lorne, thanks very much for coming in. I mean, some of these are absolutely beautiful, and this one is my particular favourite. He's called Boris, isn't he?
Yes,
he
is. Yes.
Boris the Great Dane. Now tell me, how did this happen?
I was away between the 17th of February and the 20th. When I came back, they had all gone from the garden. We keep the artist copies in the garden because it's something that prospective clients can see.
And I mean, what does it mean to you to lose 10 of them like that?
Well, we've got nothing now really to show any clients.
And obviously they're important to you personally as well.
Well, I must say I've got quite fond of Boris. He sits in front of the house.
How long would it take you to make something like this?
I had 6 to 8 sittings with him, and he was a really good sitter. So actually, it took 6 weeks. Whereas if he'd been a bad sitter, I'd had to have 10 sittings. It would have probably taken a few months.
And how much would something like this be worth?
Probably in fibre bronze, something like 7,000.
£6,000 or £7,000.
Yeah.
And then what about the fox here? This is beautiful. What can you tell me about this?
The fox, actually the original, we were commissioned to do in bronze for Stowmarket. It's Old Fox Yard, and he sits on a rock.
So if anyone sees him there, they mustn't call it, because he's quite legitimately
yes.
there. Yeah. But I mean, we should point out that these are limited editions, and that's why we're able to show examples of these tonight. And then there are also sheep, 3 sheep that were taken too.
Yes, those were Edwin's, my husband's sheep, and they're life-size, and they've got stainless steel rods sticking out of the end of their feet, so that should make them quite distinctive. And I think you could probably sell them separately because they're not actually joined together.
And they had a sheepdog with them as well?
They did, yes. Yes.
Now, also a fawn and a girl as well was taken?
Yes, yeah, that again's my husband's. That was based on an ancient teaching which says love is the natural in-between, and it's about 36 inches long, about 2 feet high.
And a sundial, and that has gilt on, which makes it particularly distinctive.
It had gilt letters, and it was based on, if you look into the centre of a sundial, you'll see a sort of spiral pattern of seeds. It was based on that. I think it was probably about 2 foot high, and actually I think the photographs got a concrete base. They took it without the base.
Right. Well, let's hope we can help you out tonight. They're beautiful sculptures, and there's a reward of £5,000 for information leading to the return of the 10 sculptures. They're pretty distinctive. If you see them, please call the studio on 0500 600 600 or the Instant Room in Guildford on 0845 125 2222. There are photos of the missing pieces if you want to check them out on our website at www.bbc.co.uk/crime.
Another sculpture now, and trophies. In this case belonging to the champion jockey Stan Miller. During his glittering career, Stan rode over 1,000 winners.
They've got about 50 yards to go, and here it is, a 1,000 winner for Stan Miller coming up the line. Uzo is the winner, then comes Potiphar in second, and then running on to the third place.
2 weeks ago, Stan, you weren't a winner. Tell us what you lost and how.
It was Cheltenham Gold Cup day, and I got home about 6 o'clock.
Home being in Berkshire, near Lambourne in Berkshire?
Ashbury, near Lambourne, yeah. And I fed the dogs. I did some jobs. I was in till 8 o'clock. My wife was away looking after our grandson. I went out at 8, came back at quarter. I went to the Rose and Crown, had a meal. I came back, and the first thing I noticed was this sculpture was gone.
We'll come to this in a moment. This is an absolutely spectacular sculpture. And other things as well.
I noticed other things gone as well. And then I looked around and I saw someone had broken in the back door and gone out to the front window.
Now, it wasn't just your house. You hadn't been targeted. We know the neighbour was broken into as well, had things stolen. People saw a couple of guys around the village. They may not know the particular importance of this piece. Tell us about it, because this is so hot now, there's no way they're going to get rid of this very easily.
Well, it's a very famous one. 9 were made, and it's 2 horses that I trained, Royal Mail and Royal Stuart, and they're landing over the canal turn, where they land and turn to the left. The jockey on the first horse was Philip Blacker, who was the sculptor. He later became a very famous sculptor.
He was the sculptor of this as well?
Yeah.
The jockey, actually, the sculptor, fantastic detail and skill. Yeah. And his name, I think, is on here. PB, is that right?
His name is at the back of the base. It's PB, and it's something over 9. It was a number over 9, and the date.
OK, trophies were stolen as well. If you've got any information around this, particularly if you've seen this, know where it is, or if you've been offered anything for sale that could have come from this theft, please give us a call, 0500 600 600, or Thames Valley Police on 0845 8 505 505.
Let me tell you a little bit about the information coming in so far. Do you remember the stolen van that had all Mary Cunningham's possessions in? She was moving house. I've had 2 calls from police officers giving a location of a warehouse where the property might be. So that's some pretty good information. And in relation to the Gosport hate campaign, thanks very much for the huge number of calls relating to a boat. We've now taken that information on board, so we don't need any more calls about the boat at the moment. And let me just tell you about the Kilburn kidnap. If you remember, the 2 people involved were linked to Kilburn in North London, but also to Wolverhampton. Luton. We've had a number of sightings from all over the UK, from Swansea to the West Midlands to North London. So please keep the calls coming in. All the incident room numbers are on CFAX on page 621. You can see a reminder of some of tonight's cases and crime prevention advice on our website at www.bbc.co.uk/crime.
A year ago, with the help of a rather unusual studio guest, we made an appeal for information about eggers, people who steal rare birds' eggs.
There are only 1,300 breeding pairs of peregrine falcons like Alexandria still in the wild here in the UK. And they're one of 75 species of rare breeding birds who are being targeted by people who steal their eggs. They're known as eggers.
Well, soon after the programme, a call came from an off-duty police officer, and that led detectives straight to the door of prolific Merseyside egg thief John Latham. Last October, he was sentenced to 3 months in prison. In fact, I think he's now out. But there are others like him still attacking rare wildlife by plundering birds' nests. And with the spring season coming on, here's PC Andy McWilliams to explain the dangers. You're really concerned that some of these birds are going to be driven to extinction?
Well, getting that way, yes.
Now, of all of these here, which are the most important, the rarest?
Well, out of that small collection, they are the rarest. They're kingfisher eggs.
These
yes.
are kingfisher. And how many kingfishers are there in the United Kingdom?
There's around 3,000 breeding pairs, so they're scarce, you know.
And what is it you want Crimewatch viewers to do? Because eggers are usually solitary people. They do this as an obsession. They don't sell these eggs, do they? They hide them and for themselves.
No, it's purely for their own purposes that they collect these eggs. We are interested in anybody who has information about people involved in this type of activity. In particular, we're looking for where people keep their collections. It's very unusual for egg collectors, prolific egg collectors, to keep their collections at home. They usually have a safe house somewhere, and that's what we're really interested in.
But wives, girlfriends, mothers, people might know.
Anything like that, yeah.
And they really are driving these birds to extinction. Of course, if there are chicks in these, they kill them, don't they?
They do, yeah. I mean, they will actually bore holes in and put solvents in to actually flush the life of the egg out and burn the chick out.
So the main thing you're concerned about is anybody's got any suspicions, where do they go? Is there any place that people know that they might possibly be hiding these things?
Well, it's not unusual to have a lock-up garage. Girlfriend's houses. I mean, the particular case you mentioned was a friend of a girlfriend, and it's.
Okay. But if you've got any suspicions, call us in the studio on 05 600 600, or just call your local police.
Our phone lines are open until midnight tonight, and from 7:30 a.m. until midnight tomorrow. We'll be back at 10:35 with the Crimewatch update.
And next month, Crimewatch will be on Wednesday, April the 28th. We're going to be going back 10 years to a notorious double murder. I hope you'll rejoin us, in fact, though, in about half an hour. But until then, don't have nightmares, do sleep well. Good night.
Good night.